Tonight on Newswire L.A., we spend the weekend in Hollywood, California. We'll start out with coverage of Variety's Sports Entertainment Summit coming from the Lowe's Hotel. Later, we'll take you to the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, where the Alex Thomas Foundation's annual golf tournament pool party is taking place as well. All of this and more on Newswire L.A., right after the credits. It's Friday morning and we're here at the Lowe's Hotel on Highland Avenue and Hollywood Boulevard. We're attending Variety Magazine's Sports Entertainment Summit. Today we're going to go beyond the gridiron and the TV cameras to show you what sports and entertainment are thinking about, especially when it comes to the newer digital platforms, the impact of social media, and how we watch sports in the 21st century. Let's get started by hearing from AEG's Tim Lewicki on what's next for Farmers Field. Farmers Field is the long-talked-about football stadium that's supposed to be built in downtown Los Angeles. The stadium is supposed to go on the very plot currently occupied by the Los Angeles Convention Center. And now, Tim Lewicki.
And then it really gets down to making a deal with the league on a team. And what we've said from day one is we're going to follow the lead of the commissioner. And the commissioner came out 2 weeks ago with new guidelines. And thank God we decided to follow the lead of the commissioner, because what the guidelines say is it's the commissioner that will ultimately decide this process. And so I think LA is going to get a team. I'm very comfortable looking everyone in the eye now saying we're going to get a team. I think it'll be Farmers Field, maybe it'll be City of Industry, but it's going to be one of them, and it's going to happen. And I think by 2017, we will be able to take the generation that has been lost to the uniqueness and the great experience it is to go to an NFL game and be able to take our kids to watch the LA NFL team.
The day would be made up of various panels located here in the main auditorium. Additional panels would be next door in an adjoining ballroom. On this panel are members of various cable outlets, including Time Warner Cable and the all-new Pac-12 network. This panel discussion is about what it takes to program new sports networks in the 21st century. One of the speakers is Pac-12's Gary Stevenson, who joined our Jamie Wright after leaving the stage.
And so how do you deal with that sort of competition and make everyone feel like they're equally as important?
Well, it's never perfect. We know that. And the great thing about competition is people always believe that they should deserve more. We actually don't want to kill that spirit, because that's what makes our conference great. But what we do believe, with 7 networks, 1 national, 6 regional, and then a digital network, that we have plenty of space to cover all 12 institutions fairly. Whether they see it that way or not, I'm sure we'll have our discussions.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for stopping to talk to us. Thank you.
Boxing has the same old story. I came from the mean streets of such and such. If it wasn't for boxing, I'd be dead or in jail. Okay? That's every guy's story in boxing.
One of the day's most dynamic speakers was the UFC's Dana White, whose speaking style can only be described as a cross between Rocky Balboa and Chris Christie. Let's hear a little bit more from Dana White.
Yeah, so when I got into it, I started managing guys. And I managed Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz. And through managing these two, I found out that the UFC was in trouble and was probably going out of business. And at the time, me and my partners, the Fertitta brothers, they owned Station Casinos, which is the 4th largest gaming company in the country, which means they have a lot of money. And I called them up and said, you know, I think this thing's for sale, and I think we could buy this thing. A month later, we bought it for $2 million. You know, I had no background in business. I didn't go to college, and the only thing I had is that I'd been involved in the fight business since I was 19. That was it. So when we first bought this company, everybody thought we were nuts. You know, the Fertittas have a pretty good portfolio of businesses, and all their top guys were like, "This is the dumbest thing ever. You guys are burning cash and wasting money. This is this business venture makes absolutely no sense." But it's not just coming in and I had no business experience, but I had some business experience. I didn't have business experience at that level. But the other thing was production. We'd never put on a production before. I didn't even know what a camera was when we bought this company. So everything was a learning curve. And it wasn't really UFC 40 that turned this thing around. We were having big fights. One thing that the UFC never had a problem doing was selling tickets. We put on a great live event. We have some hardcore fans. So ticket sales were always good, and that's what really helped keep us afloat for a while. But what really changed everything was a reality show that we did called The Ultimate Fighter. Because we had been trying to get this thing on television, and like I said to you guys before, it wasn't on pay-per-view. We finally got over the pay-per-view hurdle, got it back on, which almost put us out of business again. Pay-per-view wasn't the answer to all of our problems. The deals that we ended up, imagine when you go into, you know, you're not allowed on pay-per-view, and you go in and start negotiating these pay-per-view deals. You know, we weren't in a very good position to negotiate, so we got beat up pretty bad there. Then we're trying to get on television, and everybody was terrified to put these fights on live television, and that's what we thought, you know, we needed to do.
Variety Sports Entertainment Summit with Dana White, the president of UFC, and a Twitter avid user, correct?
Yes, I'm a huge Twitter fan. I love it.
Okay. Well, I'm a lawyer, so I have a question about the legalities of maybe some of your tweets or, you know, some of your players' tweets.
I must be, okay, I'll be a case study for you.
Yeah, so, you know, honestly speaking, your fighters obviously represent you and the UFC.
Yep.
And you like for them to be honest and
True.
be able to freely express themselves. How do you deal with any fallback from that in the event that someone thinks that they've said something that's incendiary?
Well, you would think we have 400 fighters under contract, right? And we encourage them to tweet. We actually do bonuses and incentives for guys, best tweet, most followers, things like that. And obviously, if you think about it, how much these guys tweet, we've only had maybe 2 or 3 issues with tweeting. And the rules at the UFC are to use common sense, okay? If you think you're a comedian, you're actually not, you're a fighter. Okay. Leave the comedy to the comedians. What you think is funny, everybody else probably doesn't, so leave it to you and your friends when you're alone, because you can't really explain yourself on Twitter. If you say something stupid, you can't go back and explain yourself. There aren't enough characters.
Okay. That's a fair enough answer. So the other thing I was just wondering about is sort of what is your, you know, if you had a crystal ball, what is your 5-year sort of strategic plan for how you're going to take your company?
Cool. We do actually have a crystal ball, and the plan is to continue doing what we've done over the last 11 years, which is go global. Okay. When we got into this, our goal was to build a sport. And to build a sport, people play by the same rules all over the world. Like the same game of soccer that we play here is the same game that's played all over the world, and that's what we're doing with the UFC. And right now we're in 175 countries, in 22 languages, and almost 1 billion homes worldwide, and we still have a lot of work to do.
Well, thank you. And where can people find you on Twitter?
At Dana White.
Okay. Well, I'm going to follow you right now.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
I'll get yours, and I will follow you back.
Did you hear that? He's going to follow me back. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
We'd now like to present the impact of social media, entertainment programming, and athlete endorsements, turning the all-star athlete into the entertainment all-star, moderated by Melinda Travis, founder of Pro Sports Communications.
Every Los Angeles Lakers fan will recognize Rick Fox sitting front and center. Since leaving the Lakers and the NBA, Rick Fox has indulged in a number of activities, including acting in several films and on television. One of Rick's more boutique ventures is in the world of social media and athletics. Let's hear what he has to say on the subject.
Sure. Yeah, I came personally through an era where social media was not as relevant as it is today. The manager, the agent, the team did most of the marketing, the interviews, the access between myself and a fan or a potential new fan. Today's generation is living in a direct access, direct communication to a fan or a potential fan who is actually demanding that access. I watched the transition. I kind of came to the tail end of it, and I watched the transition of the NBA and the league, where each year more and more service to the fans experience was being given, and the cameras got deeper and deeper into the locker room, and I just waited for the shower cam to show up. It never did. But nowadays, you watch a TV screen, and you can't help but think that the access in the locker room is all about giving that fan that experience. So today's fan, especially with social media, when I think about the obligation, it's no longer, I think, only solely an asset to build your brand and build your following and grow your business on and off the court. I think it's becoming more of an expectation the other way too, that if you're not going to give me that access, I'm going to go find it somewhere else. In that individual who is giving me what I feel is a more authentic connection. Or it doesn't necessarily even have to be authentic is the case anymore, it just has to be available to them.
Here is a later panel that's continuing the earlier discussion on social media and athletics. Seated on this panel are several different experts from various angles of both entertainment and sports. Representing both media and athletics is Michael Robinson, who is a member of the NFL's Seattle Seahawks. Michael joined our Jamie Wright to talk more about what it's like playing on both sides of the field.
Let's talk about perception quickly. There's obviously a presumption that NFL players are not very bright, other than, they have great athletic ability. How do you foresee, and can you create a strategy for overcoming that perception?
Well, I just think we need to be on camera more. People need the consumers, our fans, they just see us more in a positive light. You don't see players much on TV unless they had a DUI, unless they're in a club acting up. You know what I mean? And that's only a small percentage of the National Football League. And first of all, a very small percentage. And we've all been to college. Use it. And a lot of the things when I go around the country and speak to young people, especially in high school, is that you have to have another passion other than football. You have to get up every day with something other than football on your mind. Obviously, football is important. We all want to make it to the National Football League, but it's a very small part of our lives. And I think if we can get that into young people's minds, it'll change them when they get to the National Football League.
Well, you have some great ideas. How can people get in touch with you?
Well, you can follow me on Twitter, Real Mike Rob, at Real Mike Rob. You can watch my show, RealRobReport.com, RealRob report.com, and just check me out what's going on in my world. I'm always about trying to affect people in a positive way, and that's what I'm about.
Well, thank you. We'll definitely check you out. Okay.
And now, Tony Hawk. This legendary skateboarder needs no introduction.
Pro skater Tony Hawk. Hi, how are you?
Hi, good, thanks.
I just have one question for you. I heard you say that pro skating is a viable industry. How would you see the market transitioning in the next 5 years?
I think it'll just be more global. I think there's certain countries where they're showing interest in skating, but they don't necessarily have their own set of companies there or that much interest. They keep looking to the States to see what the trends are and to see what the manufacturing is doing. And I feel like at some point they're going to branch out and have their own scenes and their own industries there. So certain places in Europe, definitely in Asia, Japan, China.
And since it is going global and kids are getting more and more involved, how would you encourage a kid to take up skating as a sport versus basketball, football, or some other sport?
Well, I would say just start slow. Start in your local skate park, get the right gear, but mostly do it at your own pace and realize that you can do it in any style you want and still be part of the community.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Okay, thanks.
This event would continue on for a couple of additional hours, with a cocktail hour to follow. All of today's attendees and participants are part of the broadcast community, though not the traditional broadcast community, i.e. CBS, NBC, and ABC. On the sports side, you had team owners, management, and players. All of these people, movers and shakers in sports entertainment programming, in one room. And now we're going to move our cameras approximately 2 miles southwest of our current location. This move's going to take us into what's known as Old Hollywood. We'll stop at the world-famous intersection of Hollywood and Vine, where we'll take a westerly route to the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel. The Hollywood Roosevelt once served as the base for one of the early Academy Awards dinners. Today, it's serving as the pre-pool party base for the Alex Thomas Foundation's annual golf tournament. The Alex Thomas Foundation was founded by actor-comedian Alex Thomas. Thomas is on a mission to help support children who suffer from pediatric cancer, along with their families. Working today's red carpet for Newswire L.A. is our Jamie Wright, who's gone right to the source. Alex Thomas.
Newswire L.A. Jamie Wright with the Alex Thomas, who says he is cooler than, what'd you say you were?
I'm cooler than the other side of the pillow. You understand me? So.
Well, tell me how this coolness has allowed you to be successful in this foundation, which is for pediatric cancer.
Absolutely. Well, pediatric cancer is something that touched my life a few years ago. And what's crazy is when I opened up and let a lot of people know the situation I was going through, so many other people opened up and said, man, cancer's hit my family and my life in some kind of capacity. I wanted people to see that I'm not just the silly, funny guy you see on TV telling jokes. I wanted them to see that philanthropist side of me. You know what I mean? So I decided to join this fight. Started the Alex Thomas Foundation. This is actually the third year doing my golf tournament, which is tomorrow. Got a lot of NFL, NBA guys coming out. This is the pre-party. A lot of beautiful women like yourself just coming out, hanging out, having drinks, and out here for a good cause, you know?
And what can we expect today at this pool party? You know, I see different people coming in and out. You said NBA, NFL, you. Yeah. I mean, what can we expect?
You can just expect a lot of fun, a lot of splashing around in the pool, a lot of drinking. And everybody's having a good time. I mean, you can't beat this weather. We're in beautiful, sunny Southern California, right in the middle of Hollywood. You know, you can't complain about that. So, and it's a lot. I'm from here. I'm from, born and raised in L.A. So it's a lot of friends and family and people I've known a long time. It's got that family feel. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, it's got that family feel. You know what I mean? Okay. So.
What can we expect next from the Alex Thomas Foundation?
Wow, what you can expect is more and more help towards pediatric cancer. Our goal this year is to take a few pediatric cancer patients and their families on a Disney cruise. A lot of the kids that we deal with were given less than 2 years to live. So if we can, you know, make them smile, brighten up their day, you know what I mean? It makes me feel good. So definitely more of that out of the Alex Thomas Foundation. And as far as I go, I got a brand new TV show coming out this fall. It's called Mr. Box Office. It's me, Bill Bellamy, Vivica A. Fox, Gary Busey, John Lovitz. Byron Allen is the executive producer. It's hysterical. It's Entourage meets Welcome Back, Kotter.